Hey, welcome back. As users are entering our community, it's important to educate them about our expectations for them, to collect sentiments from them via different polls and forums, and to present all this information as they log in so they don't miss it. So this video is all about content, surveys, and notices. We'll define each of these for creating content, taking a look at surveys, and then assigning them as notices. So let's go ahead and check it out. All right, let's start by defining content, surveys, and notices. So content is going to be informative material that your users typically see and interact with. That's going to be things like non-disclosure agreements, program expectations, updates, etc. We can organize content into special folders called content types, and we can actually use those content types to present that content in different parts of the site, like the community home. Now, surveys are customizable forms that allow you to collect targeted information from your users. It uses the form engine, just like our test platforms and our user profiles. So if you need a refresher on how to use the form engine, check out our previous video. It goes over everything that you need to know. And finally, notices allow you to automatically present these resources to a user as they log into the platform. We have all kinds of different notice types, from agreements to block notices to just presenting a piece of content or a survey to a user. And this is great for building out things like recruitment flows, getting information to users as quickly as possible, etc. So let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll start with content. All right, so all these different tools are going to be in community management, and they're located actually right next to user profiles and test platforms. So we've got our content, our surveys, and our notices. Let's go ahead and hop in, check out content. Clicking on this, you can see all of the different content types that I have. Again, these are like folders for storing different kinds of content. So we have community news, community resources. We have one for welcome messages. And content types allow us to do different things with the content within that content type. So if I go to welcome messages here, you can see that we have it configured to be searchable. So if users use the search bar at the top right and search for these different pieces of content, that's available to them. We also show it on the community home. So these pieces of content will appear right there on the community home. And we'll also show it in the community menu. So if I click on the community menu here, you can see that we actually have two content types that are shown in the menu: community news and welcome messages. We also down below have our team access. So this defines which teams can view this content right now. All of our member teams can view it except for iOS users, so we might as well activate it for them. But we could also set it to view for project creators and administrators, whatever team we'd like. So we'll go ahead and click submit and save those changes. And let's actually click into the piece of content that we have here, which is our welcome to the Serious Cybernetics community. See how that's built out. So you can see it's in our welcome messages content type. We've got our title there. And then in Centercode, we use what's called a WYSIWYG editor. It's very standard. Whatever you plug in here is going to be what you get on the other end. So it's visually very one-to-one. We can attach images to our piece of content. So you can see I have our Serious Cybernetics banner up at the top. We also support what's called dynamic tags. So that allows us to put in a little dynamic tag here like hello first name. And then whenever someone views it, it's going to be personalized to their data. So this might say something like hello Stefan, hello Brad, hello Simone, etc. We've got all of our text there. We thank them there at the bottom. We can also attach files to this content if we'd like to. So let's say we have a PDF that's guiding users through the community. We can also embed videos into the content itself. So in that body paragraph, we can embed a video from YouTube or Vimeo, etc., and have our users view it there. Lots of things we can do. We could also link out to a file. So if we have an external file somewhere that we want them to download, we could do that. And then down below, we have distributed values. We won't get into too much detail about distributed values here, but they are great for things like product keys or tracking numbers on the project side of things. So if you want to assign a unique tracking number to someone for a test unit or a product key for some beta software, you can do that through distributed values. We can also set availability for this welcome message or any piece of content, really. We could limit it to a schedule, or we could just have it be evergreen. We can decide the publish date, and then we have all sorts of options for the availability period, everything from 1 day all the way down to 120 days. So that's great for gating content. Maybe you have a cadence of content that you want to push out for different updates and whatnot. Definitely possible right here. Little box for internal notes. And then we have another team access panel here. So we have team access for both a content type and an individual piece of content. And this allows us to do things like set view for pieces of content for different teams. Maybe we have a piece of content that's particular to iOS users and Android users don't need to see it. So we can configure that access right there. And then we also have notice here. So this allows us to set it as a notice so that when users are logging in, they'll see it and they have to encounter that notice before they can continue. And once again, that's a great way to present information to users as they're entering. So they have no way to avoid it, so to speak. We'll talk about how to configure notices in greater detail a little bit later on in the video. I can submit now, and that'll just go ahead and post the piece of content, or I can save my progress and come back to it later. So if I have a piece of content maybe that needs to be released in a couple weeks, I'll work on it now, save progress. I'm not going to submit it yet. Come back to it and work on it later. I'm going to click submit here. There we go. And if I go back to Community Home, you can see I have a button up here at the top called Restore Content. If I click on this, it's going to show me all of the content that has been set to post on the Community Home that's also viewable to me. So we have a bit about being a great tester here. I can close that out. We have a notice talking about the different test platforms that are available. I can close that out as well. And there you go. So you can hide that content if you'd like, and if you ever want to restore it, right there for you. Next up, let's go ahead and check out surveys and what we can do with those. So here I am at Survey Management. Now, surveys are very similar to user profiles and test platforms in that they use the form engine. But what they're really good at is gathering targeted information from our users. So we can capture sentiments from our users. As you can see here, I have a Q2 community survey. And another thing it's really great for is identifying qualified users for things like our projects. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But let's see how this Q2 community survey is built out. We'll click into this. So this is asking all of our community members, do you currently own a Sirius Security smart home system? If they select yes, then we have a ton of different conditionals here. So how often do you add new devices? Is it once every 3 months, once every year, etc.? How would you rate the current performance of your system? How likely are you to keep it as your smart home device? Are you likely to purchase another one soon? Select your different devices, etc. And again, this is using the form engine. So we can place all those matrices and labels and choices and text boxes, etc. So we can really build out these nuanced surveys to really capture that information from our users. Now, a second ago, I just mentioned that this is great for identifying qualified users. And that's really important at the project level. So we can also run our surveys in our projects. We can present it as the first notice that an applicant sees. And then we can load up that survey with all kinds of questions pertaining to the project. So let's say, for example, all of these questions here were for our smart home device project. We're going to be testing a new one. We could say, okay, are you a current owner of a device? How happy are you with it? What devices you use? And then we could take, say, a test plan and say, okay, we're looking for users who have owned the device in the past. Maybe they're kind of on the fence on it, but they use a lot of different devices. We could use that survey to find those users and then say, okay, those applicants are going to become our participants. A lot of different things we can do with surveys. Very, very powerful. Speaking of notices, let's finally jump into those and see how we can configure the notice chains for our community. So here we are in notice management, and this is where we can configure the different resources that we're presenting to our users as they enter the community. And we can actually also do this for the project as well. These are the different notices that I have set up right now. So we have an age block that prevents anyone who is under 18 from joining the community. We then present them with the basic profile with an ask to join the extended profile. If they do that, they then move on to the extended profile. They're going to see some guidelines for being a community member. And then we have another how to be a great tester piece of content ready for them. So this is kind of the order that our notices are appearing. And I can drag and drop these around. So If I want Be a Great Tester to appear before the extended profile for whatever reason, I can do that. I can also move it to the bottom of our notice chain as well. And if I click into this, if I hover over and click on the Modify button, it's actually going to bring me to the piece of content that's associated with this notice. And if I scroll all the way down to Team Access, you can see that we have our notice types available right here. I can click on this and cycle through some different notice types. So let's go ahead and cover those really quick. So agreements require users to agree to something before they can move any further in the notice chain. This is great for non-disclosure agreements, participant agreements, etc. Great for keeping your testers compliant and having all of that on hand. A block notice is going to prevent a user from moving any further. This is great for applicants on the project side of things. So if they've applied to a project, they filled out the qualification survey, we can put a block notice right after that. And that'll tell them, hey, thank you for applying. We'll get back to you if you're selected for the project. Click-through is great for updates and then just general notices. So if you have a community update and you want users to see that as they're logging in, this is a great way to do it. And then they just click through to the next notice or right onto the community home, etc. Password requires that users type in a password in order to move forward. This is great for extra confidential testing programs or projects. Gives you that extra level of security. So not only do you have to be invited and create an account, but you also need that password. Verify yes, no. Again, you're just verifying yes or no to a piece of content. And then account verification is very cool because it allows you to verify specific pieces of information before the user can move forward. So this is great for the project level. You can do things like verify their shipping address, their email address, a phone number, etc. So that way, let's say you have a physical test unit that's going out to your participants. You can confirm their current home address or a PO box or wherever they need to get that shipped to so that it's not being accidentally sent to an address that was, entered in 2 years ago, right? You could have community members who the last time they updated their basic profile was when they first joined. They've since moved and they haven't updated that information. Account verification is a great way to make sure that that information is current and that you're not accidentally sending your precious test unit to somebody else. Now that we have a look at those notice types, let's take a look at how we can preview the notice chain. So once you've set notices for a team or a set of teams or a user role, you can actually preview the notice chain they're going to encounter within notice management. So at the top right, we'll go to preview notices. It's going to present us with this menu right here. And if I want to see the notice chain, all I need to do is just click on that checkbox right there. It's going to extend all of the different teams within this user role. And then this is exactly what these users are going to see as they log in, go through the notice chain. So they'll hit that age block, basic profile. If they answer, yes, I want to fill out an extended profile, they go to the extended profile. And then they'll see those 2 pieces of content that we have below. Now you can configure different notices for different teams if you'd like. And you can view, let's say I just want to view the notices for the iOS team. The iOS users themselves don't have any unique notices. But if I include external candidates and remove them, you can see that we have the full notice chain right there. And some user roles don't have any notices assigned to them at all. So for example, project creators, we click on that, they actually don't have any notices. So once they create their account, they're in and they can start doing their thing. Now, once a user views a notice, they will not see that notice again. So if they fill out an agreement, if they complete a survey, view a piece of content, that's done, and they're not going to see it again if they log in again, unless we set it as a reoccurring notice. So let's go back to notices, and we'll click on Be a Great Tester right here. We'll modify the resource, and we'll scroll all the way down, and we will make this a reoccurring notice. Now when we click Submit, this notice is going to appear every single time the user logs in. So this is great for bulletins. It's great for things that you always need your users to know about. Maybe it's a warning saying, hey, this is a confidential community, keep everything to yourself. Maybe it's an update that you want persistent throughout the entire kind of phase of testing, etc. So lots of utility there. So let's go ahead and check out what the notice chain looks like from the tester's point of view. All right, let's wrap this video up by taking a look at notices from the user's perspective. So I'm here at our landing page. This is the login page for my community. And I'm just going to log in as one of our community members. We'll log in right here. You can see this is our Be a Great Tester piece of content. Lets me know everything that I need to do in order to be a great tester. And if I click continue down here at the bottom, it'll take me right to the project that I'm currently a part of. That covers everything for content, surveys, and notices. We're now ready to actually start bringing users into our community. So we'll talk about community recruitment in the next video. So go ahead and stay tuned.